After playing Multiversus for a bit, I'm loving the game so far. It's definitely very weird and there's a lot going on, so I'm not sure it's for everyone. But one of my favorite parts of the game is the character expression. Every character feels super unique, and a lot of that has to do with each character's individual mechanics. And of course, the biggest of these are the character's passive mechanics. While not every character has a passive, most do, and that plays a big part in the individuality of the characters. So I wanted to go through every character's passive mechanic, and for the hell of it, I'll go over passives added by some perks too, if they're relevant. Without further ado, let's get into it. Shaggy is the most straightforward character in the game. He's designed for new players to get their bearings, and as such has a little bit of everything. His passive, it's like off the charts, changes all of his specials when he gains the Rage buff. This buff is gained by charging with his neutral special. Once charged, all his specials gain armor and apply maxed weaken stacks on hit. This also changes some of their properties, adding more hits and damage. Interestingly, throwing the sandwich while enraged does buff the throw, but does not consume range. In addition, when Shaggy gains Rage, all his allies gain a small Rage buff that also applies Weakened. Shaggy's perk, One Last Zoinks, gives him a free Rage buff if he takes over 100 damage. Wonder Woman's Bracer meter is much more specific than Shaggy's passive. Wonder Woman is all about defense, with several of her moves applying a shield against projectiles and other attacks. Each time she successfully uses this to block a move, she fills a Bracer meter. When using her down tilt, Amazon Shout, the knockback increases drastically based on how much meter she has. Reindog does not have any passive abilities. There's an overarching theme to the kit with a lot of your moves leaving behind lingering damage over time, but there's no specific passive interaction. Similarly, Jake also does not have any sort of passive. He's also a very straightforward character, mainly focusing on attacks with huge range, so it makes sense he doesn't really have or need one. Back to characters with innate passives, Steven is super interesting as the only character in the game with the ability to shield. The shield has fairly low durability, but can be used on teammates even when they're performing other actions, allowing for some powerful combinations. There's no penalty for getting shield broken either, only that you can't use your shield for a bit, so it's worth using in a pinch. Superman has the most standard passive in the game. To the Skies allows Superman to air dodge upwards while grounded. This isn't super helpful, but on an air-focused character, it can be nice to have air combos. It's also very fun to wave dash with. Garnet doesn't have a passive innately, but can get one through her perk, Electric Groove. This perk makes all of her moves that apply the electric debuff also give Garnet her music buff. Music buff is a very useful tool, increasing your speed and adding armor breaker to your attacks. Batman's ninja training does a lot of stuff for the character. While invisible due to the use of his smoke grenade, Batman applies Weaken on every hit. This makes combos in the smoke absolutely devastating. He can also see invisible opponents, making it so they can't take advantage of his boost, while he can. Lastly, Batman can use his grappling hook to air dodge off the ground like Superman. Again, not terribly useful, but it's there. Harley Quinn's confetti time starts off when hitting with her explosive attacks. If Harley or her ally can do other attacks in quick succession, it will fill up a meter and apply a debuff. By default, this is the Ignite debuff doing more damage over time. The perk Confetti Explosion changes this to an explosion that pops up the opponent into the air for more follow-ups, but honestly, I haven't seen it being more impactful compared to making Harley's already strong combos hurt even more. Honestly, Bugs might have the most interesting passive in the game currently. You think it'd be the tunnel that he can go through that also sends items through it, but no, that's just considered part of a move. Instead, Bugs' passive, Dynamite Dock, allows him to rummage through his box of Acme products and procure an item. Now this is super interesting, because the game currently does not have items in any other way, but these are almost certainly planned to be added in some casual mode in the future, because most of these have nothing to do with bugs. You can find a sandwich and the titular dynamite, but in addition you can also obtain a Meeseeks box that throws Meeseeks projectiles, and an assist trophy that summons either the butter passing robot or a banana guard. This is absolutely insane and a huge hint into what the future of this game looks like. Swordies and platform fighters are known for their gimmicks. Marth's Tipper, Roy's Hilter, and now Arya's Backstab. That's right, her critical hit ability grants increased damage when she hits enemies from behind. This can be hard to do, but her moves have the movement to expose the back, as well as dodging attacks and using certain moves granting a turn buff that forces a backstab. On kills, she gives the opponent a pie that heals them at the cost of slowing them down slightly. She can also gain a rage buff from her opponents knocking an ally out, applying weakened on hit. Lastly, her perk Trophy allows her to tap into the powers of the Faceless Man, gaining a face on kill. This face allows her to copy the opponent's neutral attack alongside buffing her neutral special into a powerful stun strike. Tom and Jerry are a puppet character where Jerry can detach from Tom. While detached, Jerry will try to attack Tom with quirks that can be reflected with certain moves. The passive, Cheesy Does It, allows an ally to pick up Jerry, allowing Jerry to continue to try to attack Tom when Tom attacks, allowing for tandem combos. In addition, having Jerry grants a cheese buff that increases damage dealt and adds power to nearby mousetraps. Finn is an oddball with a ton to go over. His ability Fat Stacks does a lot of stuff. The first of which is that it allows him to collect money on hitting opponents. This money can be used in the shop to buy upgrades or gems that he can warp to, as well as buffing the power of Finn's up special. Also, Finn can hold all his grounded attacks indefinitely and move during them. In turn, they don't increase in power over time, but rather with how far Finn has moved. In addition to these, both of Finn's perks apply a passive buff. Going out of business decreases the price of shops by 200 temporarily after a teammate dies, or when Finn is above 100 damage. This can be great for getting a little extra mileage in clutch situations. On the other hand, On the House automatically generates a gem anytime Finn lands a fully charged attack. While situational, this lets Finn teleport to the gem for follow-ups off of almost anything. Finn has a lot of options, so build around what you like best. Taz is a fairly straightforward character who just wants to mash in your face, and his passive Bottomless Pit reflects that. Some of Taz's attacks inflict Tasty, which adds more stacks of itself whenever the opponent takes knockback from any move. At 16 stacks, the opponent will become a cooked chicken, leaving them unable to attack and causing Taz to heal upon hitting them. This causes Taz to be able to snowball fast in the right situation. This does have a slight passive bonus, as Taz will lick teammates he passes, healing them for a very slight amount. This doesn't really mean a lot on the grand scheme of things though, it's only a 5% heal. And lastly, of course, is Velma. Velma's snooping causes evidence to spawn over the course of the match, as well as landing certain moves. Causing 5 pieces of evidence will reveal the opponent as Old Man Jenkins and attempt to arrest them. The spawned police car can be destroyed or broken out of, but if not interrupted, it will instantly KO the opponent. This passive allows Velma the massive benefit off of her kit. And that's all the passives in Multiversus. Any one that piqued your interest? With all that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.